Hello, Josh Hill.
Hello.
Hello. So, Josh, you're a 2018 grad from Mutt,
I
and
am.
yeah, thank you for agreeing to let me talk to you today. I've got some questions I want to ask you. This is really helpful for us at Mutt, but also for our followers and social media. They're requesting things like this, like what are grads doing, and especially our students. They're really interested in what alumni are doing. So this is terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to know is, how are you doing in these crazy times right now with this coronavirus and, self-isolation and social distancing and all this stuff? I just wanted to find out how you are.
Uh, Pretty good actually. Is it got out of hand quickly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it got much more crazy than I thought it was gonna be. Um, but the studio shut down. I don't know how long ago, 5 weeks maybe. And we actually shut down a week before it was announced that everybody has to start staying home. So we're ahead of the curve there. Um, but we got all set up. We have like a total remote pipeline, and everybody's able to work from home. So it's been pretty good.
Yeah. So you've been able to continue your work then.
Yeah, the IT team uh, put in some crazy hours to try and get everyone all set up and working at home. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
So
very lucky to be
little
able to still be
disruption.
working.
Yeah, and that's actually what I've been reading, is that animation companies have actually fared pretty well in this.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Well, there's a plus in this situation.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah, and how about personally? How are you holding up?
Pretty good. I'm not a very social person, so this whole thing kind of works out for me. Um,
Right.
Actually, the first week being home, didn't really notice a difference because it's what I do anyway. Just kind of stay at home and work. So it's good.
Yeah, you know what? That's something else I've been hearing too, is that for some people this just suits them fine.
Yeah, I've actually been able to get more work done at home, like a lot more.
Yep,
So I
yep.
think I'm gonna rethink going to the studio when it opens. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good point. Good point. I think a
because
lot of us are rethinking things.
yeah, because all the animators, as far as I know, are all freelance, even though a lot of them go to the studio. So we are allowed to work from home like whenever we want. So there's no kind of set hours for us. So
Right.
it's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I think that people are, now that they're working from home, you're able to go with your natural rhythms and what works for you. And I
Yeah.
think that it's going to be interesting to see how this improves productivity, right? Instead of going on someone else's schedule, it's like you're able to work pretty much your schedule unless you have a meeting or something like that. But and people can follow their own rhythms.
Yeah, exactly. Some people I feel like get more work done, and there's people that don't get any work done because
Yeah,
they're used to being in the studio. So
right,
yeah,
right.
it's an
Yeah,
adjustment for sure.
for sure. So maybe if we could go back a bit, I'd like to know how you got into this profession in the first place. How you got, what was it that made you want to be an animator?
Well, I didn't know for a long time, actually, probably until I was in my second year, but I'll back up. I was always drawing as a kid
Hmm.
all the time. Like, would always draw Dragon Ball Z, even though I'm not a big anime guy. I don't know, that was the the one show I love to draw from. And I kind of didn't draw in high school. I took a break, I guess you could call it.
Hmm.
But I always knew that I wanted to do art. It was kind of on the back burner. So when I did graduate high school, I applied to Sheridan and
Mm-hmm.
got in there, and I did 1 year their art fundamentals course, which really helped. And
Okay.
I actually applied to the illustration program there, and I did not get in.
Mm-hmm.
So I took another year off, and I was buying some art supplies in my hometown, at this art shop, and I saw a pamphlet for Max the Mutt, and it just looked really interesting with all the drawings on it and stuff like that. So I asked the person working there, what is this place? And she was saying that her son actually went there and is an animator. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I took it home, and then I called them and I set up a tour. And so I went through the school, and it just looked so cool with all the drawings everywhere and animation tables, and like, I gotta go here. We weren't even
Yeah.
done the tour, and I was like, I'm going here. I gotta go here. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 you gotta think about this. And I'm like, no, I'm going. So yeah, I just kind of took a leap of faith there, and went for animation because illustration didn't work out, which I think I would have been miserable if I did illustration. So it was a total blessing in disguise that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
Good for you. You know,
yeah,
it's interesting too. I think you describe what a lot of people feel when they go to the school. There's a feeling right away. It's small, it's friendly, it's approachable. It's a real community, you know,
yeah,
and that's often what I hear. As soon as people walk in, they're like, "Oh, wow, this is awesome!" And look at the work on the walls,
yeah.
and
It's
that
the
really
work on the
speaks
walls that'll
volumes.
get you.
Yeah, exactly. It got me. When I walked in there, I was like, wow, these are students? It's
Yeah, I
amazing.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a small community for people that work well in small environments. I think they just excel at the school. So
Yeah. Yeah, great. So you graduated in 2018. And
mhm.
so can you maybe lead us through what your first job experience was like and how that all happened?
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy, perfect timing sort of situation. I actually got my first job during my fourth year there. So we were in the middle of the film, and my instructor at the time knew I loved hand drawn animation, like 2D. And he had a friend that was working at YOWZA at the time,
Mhm.
still there, that was working on Green Eggs and Ham, and he knew they needed animators, so my instructor Adrian was like, "Can you get together a reel so I can maybe pass it along?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I can." I was As soon as I heard about it, I was like, "Yeah." So I animated a shot very quickly of the ghost character for the film, and just a test. That's all I could really do in the time frame, plus
Right.
whatever kind of school assignments. I really didn't have a lot on my reel, so um, passed it along, and they called me in for an interview, and kind of liked it right there, and gave me a contract, and it was pretty amazing. I was on a high kind of after that because
I
I just
bet.
kind of scored my dream job right there. So it was very cool. And those guys really took a chance on me because I really didn't have a whole lot on my reel. So it was very cool to get that job. And I was working and doing the film for the rest of the year. So that was kind of a hectic time in my life.
Right. But I guess it prepared you for what it's like to be in the work world, right? It can get hectic at times.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
Not as bad as that. That was some crazy some crazy time.
Right. But hey, that's good. It's been all uphill from there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrific.
So
So what do you think it was about your schooling at MTM that helped prepare you for that job?
it's almost like a small studio there. So really the professionalism aspect of it helps.
Mhm.
You know, having to hit deadlines and um, follow instructions by your instructors,
Mhm.
you know, that sort of thing. It just really helped prepare me for the workplace. Professionalism, yeah. And of
Yeah.
course the work. Like there's
Yeah. Yeah.
the instructors
Right.
there are amazing.
Right. I mean, I've heard from students and from grads that it's quite demanding. But
Yeah.
you know what we say too at the school is, well, that's what this career is like, and that's how, you know, why we do this is we want you to be prepared. So
Yeah.
yeah, you feel like your time at MTM, I mean, you just said that you feel like it really did prepare you for the real quote unquote world.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
It can
Okay.
get pretty crazy at times
Yeah,
with deadlines and things like that.
sure.
So going through all that in school really helps you know how to handle those situations.
That's good. Well, and you know what? And that's what we want to do, right? We want students to be best prepared
Hmm.
for the workplace, for, you know, for the studio or working wherever gigs you get. Um, can you tell me a little bit about the projects that you're currently working on and what you're doing specifically, what your role is?
Yeah. Right now I'm animating on season 2 of Green Eggs and Ham.
Okay.
I think that's all I can say about it. But
Yeah. Understood. Maybe just
I've
your role, like what you're like, maybe some specific, some technical stuff, just for those who know.
sure. So I'm a rough animator on the show, and
Mhm.
it's all sorry, it's all traditional animation, hand drawn in Harmony, and there's no we don't use any sort of rigs or anything like that. It's it's all animated, rough animated by hand and cleaned up by hand. Um, so it's a very fun show to work on.
Mhm.
Um, so getting a little bit of harmony in school definitely helped me um, jump into this role at work.
Mhm.
And I wasn't a huge fan of the the rigs in school. I'm not a tech guy really, so
Yep.
if I just have a piece of paper and a pencil, it's a lot easier for me. And that's basically what it is in Harmony. If you kind of get rid of all the other sort of tools there, you just need your brush and learn how to flip, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah. So that's good. So for traditional animators, or for people who do like more the drawing aspect, there is a place for you in this world.
yes, 2D animation is definitely alive. So
Yeah.
it's very cool. Um, because all through school I heard that it was dead, it wasn't happening.
Right.
And then I heard about this green eggs and ham thing, and I was like, I gotta work on this. This sounds amazing. So it's basically paperless 2D animation. It's very cool.
Very cool.
Mhm.
And that's something else that I think is really interesting. Why do you think that is? Why do you think 2D is still going? Why do you think it didn't die?
Mm. I just think there's a lot of CG out there right now, and
Yeah.
people are almost feeling nostalgic for it. So when it does come out, people go, "Oh yeah, that looks awesome. I remember that. We should do more
Yeah.
of that."
Yeah.
So it has a nostalgic feel to it, and you can see the hand of the artist on the screen, which is really cool. That's
Yes.
the thing I loved about 2D animation
Yes.
opposed to CG, you know.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I think that's a
Sorry.
really good point. Um, you know, and that's people, like you said, like people like to see the hand of the artist. I personally like it when I see a little bit of smudging, when I see
Yeah,
the
mistakes.
imperfections, if you will, right?
Exactly.
I think that's
Exactly.
what makes it unique.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I agree. I think almost in a very artificial world, sometimes it's nice to have that. Nice to have
Yes.
that, you know, feeling that a person made this, not a machine.
Yeah. Exactly. I just want to go
Yeah,
back a little bit.
sure.
When you're talking about harmony and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was saying it's a paperless program, which it is, but we have a ton of animators working on paper still.
Wow.
And so they animate it on paper, shoot the line test, see if it works. And when it's working, they scan it all into Harmony for the
Mhm.
cleanup artist. So it's very cool to see those pencil tests come in from all those guys.
Yeah, that's great. You know, yeah, you sent some of your work, which I posted one of your short little 2D animations there, and I'll be posting some more because again, I think it's just really good for us to see the process of how animators work, and particularly 2D. So yeah, and you know what? And it also sounds like, how great is it to be working in a job where you just love what you're doing?
Exactly. I don't stop thinking about that. Ever since I started working, it has not felt like work. Like I get up extra early in the morning and start working, and when it's actually the weekend, I get bummed out because I can't work.
That's
And
great.
of course, I've never had that with a job. So it's very, very cool to be doing this as a job.
Well, and you know
It,
what? I'm really glad you're bringing that up because I think a lot of people, and I put myself into that category where I thought, okay, I have to have a job that pays money, that feels like work in the sense that it's not exactly maybe what I love to do, but I need to do something, you know. So, would you say to people who are considering getting into animation or concept art or illustration, um, you know, that you know, what advice would you give them about pursuing this? Because they're, you know, when I'm meeting people, you know, as the outreach person, meeting high school students or even people who are a bit, you know, older in a different career, and I'm talking to them and they're like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if, you know, there's the doubts, right? Not only that, but there's doubts about being a working artist. You know, I hear a lot of that, you know, I can't do it. Art, you know, our artists are, it's a hobby, or you're not going to make any money. What would you say to all that? I know it's a long question.
um, yeah, there's definitely can be doubts for
Yep.
sure. I certainly experienced them in school because um, I went for this kind of path that was non-existent, I guess, at the time. But if there's something you're really passionate about, I would just say go for it. Just give it your all, and don't really listen to others if they're telling you not to do it. If you think you have to do it, then you should go for it.
Mhm.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good piece of advice, and I've found too that when you do that, things seem to fall into place. And you've mentioned that, right? You said it was the perfect timing when this happened, and the perfect timing. And it seems to me like if you're looking after yourself, taking care of going after what's really important to you, things seem to fall into place. Not that there aren't challenges,
Yeah,
but you know,
there's
and that's,
certainly challenges, but
yeah, that's life, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and speaking of which, speaking of life and challenges, I just want to bring it back to this current situation. Um, and just if you can give me a sense of how the situation, how you think it will impact the animation industry.
Well, I think since a lot of studios are still open and they're forced to be letting everybody work from home, I think they're going to realize that it's a because some studios don't let a lot of people work from home.
Mhm.
It's more of the senior kind of people.
Mhm.
But I think they're going to start realizing that people are more productive at home, and it being like an option for everybody that works there. And it might be a new sort of pipeline, you know.
Right.
I think that's what's happening. I'm not sure. It's hard to say, really. I don't know. It's been such a crazy time, but
Yeah, and it also sounds like you've just had your head in your work too. You're just adjusting, so
yeah,
which a lot of us are. But I have actually read again some articles that saying that this actually seems to be benefiting the animation industry because, well, it's not like there's any movie shoots that are going on right now. Um,
yeah,
so and then also in advertising and product marketing. Like we won't have an actor holding up a product, so we can have an animated an avatar or you know,
that's a
uh,
great point. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
right?
everybody's is at home sitting around watching Netflix, so
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
there's gonna be
Um,
a, I think another boom, maybe. I don't know how long this will last, but
yes, exactly. We don't know. It's the
yeah.
great unknown. Um, just to kind of finish up, but what advice do you have for any of our grads who are interesting entering the industry right now?
Um, it's not as scary as you think, and it's a lot of fun to work. So just relax; it'll be all good.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's really good advice.
Yeah, because
What's also, sorry.
I was kind of freaked out by making the full leap to the studio, so it
Yes.
wasn't as bad as I thought.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really good to hear. Actually, very reassuring because, for our grads right now, I mean, they have the added, I guess, worry of, we're moving our industry night, our graduate showcase to online. So,
Wow.
they're kind of concerned about that, but we're trying to alleviate their concerns and say, hey, first of all, we have people from the industry contacting us saying, hey, we're your grads, we need them. That's the first piece of news. And second of all, it's kind of the way we're going to have to start getting used to working, I think, is this online presence and being able to do what you and I are doing right now, whether it's a Google Hangouts or whether it's um, you know uh, showing your work online and having people go into Discord and having conversations and channels that way. That, like you said, there are challenges and it's not that it's not going to be a little bit difficult, but that this is that there are opportunities, and definitely it's not as scary as you said. It's not as scary
No,
as you build it up to be in your head.
you build it up and build it up and build it up, and then you finally get there, and you're like, oh, everyone is kind of like me, so it's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah, very
Great.
fun.
That's a really good point. Well,
Great.
Josh, thanks so much for chatting with me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Um,
it was fun.
yeah, it's just, again, it's really good to have those human connections and be able to talk to people, find out how they're doing, what they're doing. I'm definitely going to be checking out Green Eggs and Ham myself, and
Yeah,
uh, and
season one's
follow
out on Netflix.
yeah, and follow
Yeah,
along with what you're doing. Thanks for sending your drawings and your clips, and I'll be posting some more of those. But I look forward to catching up with you again at some point in the future, and stay in touch.
yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right. Well, take care.
All right, you take care too.
Okay. Bye, Josh.